Now the Prime Minister has reportedly taken down portraits of Elizabeth I and Sir Walter Raleigh. These were both in display in Downing Street.
Yes, now this comes after the Prime Minister faced quite a bit of criticism when it emerged he had removed a painting of Margaret Thatcher as well. Now, in response, a Number 10 spokesperson has said a change of artwork had been planned before the election. Had it? It does seem like Sir Keir Starmer likes to take lots of these down. Shall we speak to the director of the New Culture Forum, Peter Whittle, about this? Peter, does this tell us something about the man in charge?
It tells us a lot about the man in terms of his character, but also, more importantly, I think, the general political makeup of the government now. I mean, essentially, you've got these two portraits of two world-class figures of British history, and they were hanging in a room in which he generally receives foreign heads of state. I think most recently he had the Ukrainian leader, whose name suddenly escapes me, I'm afraid.
Zelensky.
That's right. The point is really, I mean, is that why take these down when you really should be promoting and being proud of Britain's history and Britain's heritage in front of other world leaders? I mean, in their place has gone two pictures by the artist Paula Rego, which are essentially basically about female empowerment, or there's kind of thematic pictures that mean very, very little to most people, certainly in this context. And he's taken down instead a picture of somebody who is the very model of female empowerment and importance, and that is Queen Elizabeth I. Obviously, this is about basically shame, if you like, of our history. These two people, Elizabeth and Sir Walter Raleigh, were two of the people whose name came up during the whole BLM thing of a few years ago. They are two of the characters who basically were linked with colonialism and therefore were seen as bad. And as a result, what is the defining image?
Peter, when he was asked about taking down Margaret Thatcher, he said, he told the BBC, I don't like images and pictures of people staring down on me. I've found it all my life. This isn't actually about Margaret Thatcher at all. Do you believe him?
Well, frankly, I mean, he's a man now with a negative approval rating. I think he's got to get used to people looking down on him. So there's nothing new about that. You know, this is crazy. This is a man with no sort of hinterland at all. He doesn't have a favourite poet, apparently. He doesn't have a favourite novel. This has all come from various interviews. He's essentially a technocrat par excellence, you know, and therefore they have no feel for our history. They have no feel for our heritage. But the point is, the most important point about this is that he is the Prime Minister. Emblematically and symbolically, he should be having, you know, I put a picture of Churchill up there as well, for goodness sake. Why not? This is actually, you know, we are showing ourselves off to the world.
Does this speak to a just fundamentally different sort of politician in Number 10 than we've had, well, ever, really? I mean, I was reading something over the weekend that suggested that perhaps this government is the first sort of post-1960s style government. I mean, sort of people had cared about history and, you know, the Commonwealth and what was formerly the Empire and all of the things that this country did in the world. And perhaps for the first time we have a Prime Minister who really thinks of, well, doesn't care for overseas territories, doesn't care for Elizabeth I, sort of sees this as year zero.
You've really got a point there, Tom. I would say, though, that he's in some ways like son of Blair in that sense, because the first time we heard about year zero was actually under Blair, where Blair said things like, we're a new country. He showed great disregard for our institutions, whether it be monarchy or House of Lords or even the courts. Huge amount of vandalism, constitutional vandalism under Blair. In some ways, he is the successor to that. But you know, he makes Blair look like, you know, St. George.
It does show a bit of a disrespect or indifference, at least, to our history. But Peter Whittle, we'll have to leave it there. Sorry, Director of the New Culture Forum.